Hello, everyone. Good morning. JLR Investigates. Come on in. Come on in. Got a lot of people in the chat this morning. 5/10/2024. I am back in Florida, reporting from the JLR Batcave, right? And we're covering Sebastian Rogers because a lot of fireworks and a lot of madness is going on. Folks, have we hit rock bottom with this case? Because I think so. This is unbelievable what has transpired in the last 24 hours. And we're talking about the case of Sebastian Rogers. I always say this when we start our segment off, reminding the viewers, because there's always new people that might come on board. Sebastian Rogers, 15 years old with autism, was reported missing by his mother, Katie Lynn Proudfoot, and his stepdad, Christopher Andrew Proudfoot, during the early morning hours of February 26, 2024. A little after 6 a.m., according to Chris Proudfoot, made that call to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office on a three-way call around 6:20 a.m. And until this day, right now, Sebastian has not been found. And we're like 2.5 months into this saga and still no answers. But I can tell you, folks, in the last 24 hours, now I've been up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I was returning home, and I just saw mud being thrown all over the place at all angles. We're talking, folks, about a leaked phone call that has been put out of Chris Proudfoot, shocking to the core. We're not going to play that actual phone call, the entirety of the phone call, because JLR Investigates, we're PG. We're a family-oriented channel, and there's just so much cussing and foul language and threats made by Christopher Andrew Proudfoot that I don't think it's appropriate to play on this channel, his actual voice. But, man, I can tell you, there's a lot of anger, and there's a dark side of Christopher Proudfoot. We've already kind of speculated that already. Then we got Seth Rogers' mother, Robin Rogers. She's firing back at Chris. She put out a post about Chris. We got threats all over the place, Sebastian being missing. We got PI that got left the case. We got a PR guy that was supposed to manage this whole situation and bring the parties together, but it's far from that. It actually, since the PR guy, Tony Mathis, got with this case, it's pushed everyone apart even further. But guess what, folks? Remember on JLR Investigates, I said, I predicted this. I predicted about the mistrust between all the parties. And I said there's going to be a lot of secret recording, and everyone had bugging devices on one another. And anytime they communicate with one another, they're all going to be recorded. And that seems like that happened. There's a recording out there, about 16.5-minute phone call. And Christopher Andrew Proudfoot is talking to Michele Cohen, Seth's former PI. And it was all centered around weeks ago when Chris called into a YouTube channel called Web Sleuths, two of Seth's PIs, which one seems like she's still on board. She actually put out a tweet last night. Chloe, Michele Cohen, Web Sleuths, Chris, Seth joined, and then it was just complete chaos. And Chris is livid. He's livid. You know why Chris is livid? Because he claims that Chloe, one of Seth's PIs, is responsible for sending the dogs and everybody towards Katie's mother and Katie's side of the family. Chris is claiming Chloe didn't give out Katie's mom's side of the info, but insinuated in Chris's mind that she has something on them, which Chris feels at that point, by saying that on Web Sleuths, it sent everyone on a frenzy, finding out who Katie's mom is and who's Katie's side of the family. We reported Katie's side of the family. And I can tell you, We reported on this woman here. We reported on this woman. I strongly recommend you guys look at court documents, and look and do research on this individual, because this individual is being supervised right now by probation and parole in the state of Virginia for very, very bad acts. And this is a bloodline to Cathy, because, you know, that person that was out there in that photo was Sebastian. People were thinking it could be Cathy's mom, it could be Cathy's side of the family. People even said it was Seth's side of the family. People even said it was Proudfoots, whatever. But that, you know, drew this individual out. But it's good to know Cathy's side of the family. Now, Cathy, in this phone call with Chris, kind of said, I heard her, she was in this background, and she was saying that she was more like a victim, or things that happened to Cathy when she was 5 years old. But they didn't want this. This triggered Chris. This triggered Chris to go off on a profanity-laced tirade. And it seems like this triggers Chris for some reason. Triggers him. I mean, the dark side of Chris was out there. He was more or less threatening the PI, Chloe, saying if he ever sees Chloe, he's going to SLAP her. And then he proceeded to say, cease and desist. But man, he went off. He went off. What in the world is going on here? Also, folks, I want to show you something. I want to show you something, because I always said that this photograph here, and I'm going to show you, that this thing right here was Chris approaching Seth and telling, this was weeks ago. This kind of all started everything, the domino effect of a lot of the drama online. Now, Sebastian had, there was a remembrance for Sebastian at a school near his home, near the Proudfoots' home. And Seth was there with a bunch of supporters. And Chris rolled up. He straight rolled up and straight rolled right up to Seth. And was nose to nose with Seth. And a lot of talk. And people said it was very heated. Cussing. They could hear cussing. And then Chris, more or less, it calmed down. And then Chris just left. He didn't even attend the service that was there. He just got in his vehicle and he left. Then Seth immediately came forward and said, me and Chris are working together now, and Cathy. We're working together. And everyone was shocked by that. Well, what followed that, and a lot of people actually turned on Seth from that, because Seth more or less said, we're going to work together. If anyone doesn't like it, F off. And everyone was like, what? Well, then from that point forward, things just started falling apart. It just started falling apart. The wheels off justice for Sebastian started falling off. And everything just started becoming unhinged. No one's communicating with each other. PI leaves. PR person comes on board. Seth is just saying he can't get a hold of Cathy. People, you know, Cathy and Chris go out to Memphis area and are not communicating with Seth. Seth's saying that he's sending them emails about having dogs and train people around the house, and mud. Now Chris going on to a YouTuber channel that's really ticked off Seth's mom, Robin Rogers. Chris went on a Illuminati and started, you know, pretending he was playing voices and pretending he was a disabled man with autism, making a joke, and people feel like that, you know, Chris is making a joke and a mockery out of Sebastian. Wild stuff. Now, I can tell you, I never believed whatsoever about a working together. Matter of fact, I don't want them working together. I don't want them working together, and they shouldn't work together. Seth should do his own thing. Proudfoot should be doing their own thing. There's nothing about working together, because all that's going to happen, well, I mean, I'm witnessing chaos and madness. They shouldn't work together. Look at this, folks. The grandmother of Sebastian, Robin Rogers, Now, remember Chris went on Cluminati the other day. And we talked about that. We played that. We called it Strange Phone Call. Well, she spoke. She spoke, folks. Look at this. This is Sebastian's grandmother, Seth Rogers' mother. And she put this post out yesterday. Shame on Chris Proudfoot and shame on Cluminati, who reportedly speaks with him daily. How dare you make a mockery of my grandson's disappearance? But we all know how you really felt about Sebastian and how you treated him. CPS records don't lie. And Katie, you know exactly what happened to Sebastian. Your smart-mouthed husband said so early on in the investigation. The longer this goes on, the worse the outcome for you. We will find him. So she ain't happy. And she's basically saying the worse the outcome for you. We will find him. Complete madness. Then we got this leaked phone call. And I just want to show you something because it goes back to the photograph I showed you with Chris overpowering. And it's you can't listen. Chris strong-armed Seth. Let's be real. Chris strong-armed Seth. And this is how Chris talks about Seth. And I just want to show you in perspective because if they work together, Chris will not do nothing but bully Seth into submission. You know, let me just say something. My sources and we believe that what Chris did to Seth here was basically roll up on Seth and said, look here, bro. You keep my wife's name out of your mouth. You better keep my name out of your mouth. You got it? You better do this. You better do that. We ain't playing around. You got it. And then Seth goes, okay, yeah, okay. Yes, sir. And then Chris walks off, and then Seth comes forward immediately and says, oh, we're going to work together now. We're going to work together now. You know? He strong-armed him. Intimidated him. Bullied him. You know what? If Chris Proudfoot came up to me and did that, I would turn instantly around here and say, look here, you, and I don't even want to use profanity on JLR Investigates. Look here, bro. Tell your wife to cooperate with authorities now. No one is scared of you. Where's Sebastian? Where's Sebastian, Chris? Why is your wife hiding from the truth? Better tell her to come forward now. No one's scared of you, you know? Why didn't Seth do anything like that? Because listen, this is this leaked phone call. And this is just an example of how Chris feels about Seth. He's bullying him. And he knows. Chris knows that Seth is afraid of him. So how are you going to have all these people working together when all Chris is going to do is try to control the narrative and control Seth? They need to stand up. You need to stand up to bullies. You need to stand up to people that are in the wrong. You need to stand up to evil. You don't be meek to it. You stand up. You fight back. You fight back against evil. Let me just give you an example. This leaked phone call. This one stood out to me. This one stood out to me. Let's listen.
I sent a message to Seth. Once again, he wants to talk about not responding or whatever. I got in touch with Tony. We talked to Tony. That probably ain't happening. Got in touch with the dog handler. Guess what? That ain't happening either. And that ain't even on my decision.
Yeah.
Because Seth doesn't know how to open his fat fucking mouth and give everybody the truth. Or what he does know, he didn't want to tell nobody, thinking that everybody's going to be serious sympathetic to his bullshit. When I told her exactly how many dogs, where they all went, what they've all done, she's like, there's nothing I can really do or offer at this point other than to assist in a search if needed.
Yeah. Oh, so you did actually talk to her?
Oh, yeah. Talked to her for over an hour and I think a half.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Last night.
That's good.
So once again, your client
Mm-hmm.
was the nicest way to refer to this fuck.
I haven't even talked to Seth since last night. He told me to take a break a couple days ago. He told me to take a break. So.
Yeah, how convenient. I sent him.
So you just see how and he's just having a conversation with Heather Michele Cohen, the PI, and I'm sorry about the language. There was a couple cuss words. Sorry about that. Please don't be triggered by that. We try to keep it friendly. But it paints a picture on how Chris feels about Seth. I told Seth he better not open up, his mouth. But it's the same thing with this, right? They have to, or Seth has to get approval from Chris for anything in order for them to work together. And that's how that relationship will be. There should be Chloe, where he made a threat. Now she should file a police report. If I was Chloe, the PI, we haven't played the conversation, but that was part of that 16-minute phone call where just Chris went off with a profanity-laced threat towards Chloe, one of Seth's PIs. He threatened Chloe. He literally threatened Chloe. And if I was Chloe, I would file a police report on him just to get it documented. Because what if Chris does do something? But this is another thing that's leaked out. It's leaked. It's madness. This is Proudfoot. This is a supposed beginning of a email here. Seth and Associates. I have had time to consider this dog handling matter and the other requests that you have mentioned as well. My answers are as follows. Dog handler. If you wish to use a dog handler to search, that is fine. However, after talking with LE agencies and Katie, the dog handler, and anyone else is being denied access to our property, house and property. Any form of permission to set foot on our property as well as any other family member's property is being denied as well. This is our official statement, and we ask that our wishes and privacy be respected at this time. Thank you for understanding. And there's more to it. I wish they would leak more, but supposedly it was talking about Tony Mathis #2. But you just see, like he's just denying everything and everything has to go through him. How in the world are you going to work together with a monster like Chris Proudfoot that says these evil things, threats towards people, hits Sebastian with a belt? He had court yesterday, by the way. He had court, Christopher Proudfoot at court in New Mexico. We're trying to get what happened. And we're talking about the custody case with Nina, who's basically ran away from Chris Proudfoot. But that's what I'm saying, folks. It's complete madness. Did Chris know he was being recorded in a phone call that's now leaked all over the internet? And also, folks, check this out. Candace Wells, the prime suspect, one of the prime suspects in the disappearance of Summer Wells, she chimed in on Chris. She gave Chris some advice. No, I'm serious. Look, Candace Wells has some advice for Christopher Proudfoot. And people were asking about that in a group. Don Wells' wife, Candace, wanted to give her advice to Chris last night. And this is what Candace says. It's going to get worse for him with all that cussing and carrying on. That's too much cussing. Swearing and cussing people out is not going to get him nowhere. So Candace is even giving Chris advice. And we told Chris, we've said this. Well, I haven't told Chris, but we say this on JLR Investigates. The longer Sebastian is missing, it's not going to go well. And there is a lot of anger bottled up with Chris right now. I heard they're hunkered down in their trailer, their RV. Katie's right by him because in that phone call with Heather Michele Cohen, Katie's right there and she actually chimes in a few times and talks. But they're just sitting there, steaming and getting mad. And the walls are closing in on them. And majority of the people think Katie's involved. And Chris, a lot of people think Chris is involved. And both of them have basically the whole world against them. They have maybe a YouTube channel or two that kind of coddle and shield them and kind of befriend them a little bit and allow them to come on. And we know those channels. But other than that, the whole world. And they're steaming. And they're listening to what every single person says on the internet. And then Chris starts firing back, and he thinks this is going to go away while Sebastian is not found. It's going to get a lot worse. And we predicted that. We've already said this is not going to go away. Long as Sebastian is not found, and what Chris and Cathy are doing, it's never going to go away. It's never going to go away, folks. Where's Sebastian? Cathy knows the truth. Cathy knows the truth. Cathy was the last person to be with Sebastian. Clues have come out. Seth thinks that Cathy overdosed him with sleeping medication. Nancy Grace asked Chris and Cathy about a bed, a new bed that they received. Well, sleeping medication, bed. I think those two are the key here. It's complete chaos. But let me show you something, because the PI with the old PI, she's fuming too because the tape recorded conversation got leaked. They want to know who leaked it. Who leaked that conversation? It's no secret that most likely Seth's PIs recorded that conversation with Chris, but they're now wondering who leaked it out there. Update. I know who leaked the audio, and I'm not going to say it publicly, but I am relieved to know that it wasn't anyone from JWI or my team. Original post. It has been brought to my attention that a phone call between Chris Proudfoot and I was leaked to the internet. I know who sent it to, and I am very disappointed that someone from my trusted group would send it to YouTube creators. This did not need to be leaked to the public. It is only going to cause more drama and hostility and distract further from finding Sebastian. There's nothing we can do now. It's out there. All I know is that I didn't leak it, and neither did Chloe. But they did record it. They did record it. I mean, I don't think Chris recorded him saying those things about Chloe and Seth. But we said all of them are going to be recorded. All of them. If they communicate, all of them. Any communication they have with one another between Seth and Chris, or Chris and Seth's people, it will be recorded. And you can do that in the state of Tennessee. One-party consent. It's legal. They're going to record each other. And every single form of communication with one another is going to be screenshotted. Whether it's Facebook Messenger, Telegram, email, WhatsApp, and all the other apps out there that you can communicate. Secret communications, whatever. It's all going to be screenshot. There's no trust between these parties. None at all. And everyone seems like they're one-upping each other. That's why I think they shouldn't work together. Why should they when there's no trust? Each person is trying to one-up one another or try to get someone in that got you moment or catch them in a discrepancy or catch them saying something and then leak that to all of us so we can analyze and inspect and review. There's bad blood between these people. It's no secret. There is no working together between these parties. And she, Robin Rogers, I just showed you, she's fed up with him. Where's Seth's PI? Or not PI, PR guy. I thought he was supposed to make this better. Since the PR has been on, everything's been worse. It seems like it's just getting worse. That's why I asked, folks, have we hit rock bottom in this case? And how much lower can we go? How much lower can we go? Because I think we're at the lowest point of the lowest point. As far as what's put out there openly, I think we're at the lowest of the lowest. It's interesting about the PI, because originally, look at this. What's interesting is you could go to a Facebook post and you can go to edit history. And this is the post they said, who leaked it? I know who leaked it. But it's different. Because if you go to edited post right here, you can go to edit history. And look at this. We're going to do see all edits. And this post has been edited numerous times. But this one got me interesting right here. Is it this one? Yeah. So it has been brought to my attention that a phone call between Chris Proudfoot and I was leaked to the internet. I know who sent it, and I am very disappointed that someone from my trusted group would send it to Terry Lynn. So they originally put out that it was sent to Terry Lynn, I believe is a YouTuber. But that has now been removed. Terry Lynn has been removed off of it. And it now the updated post, that was at 9:31. It's been updated at 10:04 last night. And Terry Lynn has been excluded. So what in the world is going on with this? Can anyone elaborate? We are at basically, to find Sebastian, we're back to square one. There's no progress. None. There will be no more future collaboration between the parties because we obviously see that that's a debacle, a disaster. It's madness. It's chaos. And it's further drama. There will be no working together. And if there is, everybody's being played as a fool. Everybody. Everybody's being played. If there's anything. You can't... Again... I said, can't negotiate with evil. You can't negotiate with terrorists. So who's the evil one? Who's the good in this? Who's the good? Who's the evil? Seth said on his polygraph to the polygraph examiner that he believes that she, Katie Lynn Proudfoot, overdosed Sebastian. That's what she believes. That's what he believes she did. Probably the night of the 25th, right after they returned from Texas Roadhouse. I'm still not sure if she even returned with Sebastian back home from Texas Roadhouse, but it seems like that's what people are believing, but neighbors told me they haven't seen nothing. One person in our group has said they just contacted the sheriff of Sumner County over all this stuff that's going on. I don't know what this means. We have a group, by the way, the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. A lot of people giving feedback about this. Look at this. Guys, I am very concerned with Seth and Chloe's life at this point. Chris's threat towards them on that call should have Chris behind bars already. After those threats, I fully suspect Chris and his family are the ones threatening the people searching for Sebastian. If LE can't see this, then they need to be fired. Chris is calling into YouTube acting like an idiot while his wife's son is missing, making this a complete S-show circus, all while his stepson is missing. If Sebastian did run away, I don't blame him at all, but I don't think he dodged. I fully believe Chris hurt him. Those marks on Chris's arms make me think Sebastian fought back. Then seeing that video of people outside and someone wearing what appears to be a ball cap beating someone already down, I can see Chris getting so angry and doing this. See, and that's why the cussing hurts Chris. All that dark side of Chris that got leaked out, people are like, whoa. Because I'm telling you, folks, if you listen to Chris, there's a mean side of Chris. And people think Chris has the tendency to be very violent and very controlling. Plus, with this mystery of Sebastian being missing, remember, folks, there was a CPS call to the Proudfoots' home, most likely at the beginning of February 2024. And around that time of this call, which Chris Proudfoot won't not give details, he says it's unrelated to the belt incident. At the time of this CPS call, conveniently around the same time, Chris leaves the Proudfoot home and goes to Yellowstone, Jellystone, Horn Lake, Mississippi RV park, and parks his RV there and is basically living there for 3 weeks up to Sebastian being missing. And a lot of people are like, was Chris running away from that CPS report? Or was Chris and Katie getting into it and Chris had to leave because Chris gave Katie an ultimatum? It's either me or Sebastian. Make your choosing. And then in the course of those 3 weeks, arguing back and forth on the phone. Or Chris maybe just had to go to work. How about that? Some people say, well, Chris had to go to work. Okay, maybe he had to go to work. But does he normally go away weeks at a time like that? I don't know. But it's no secret Christopher Andrew Proudfoot, has violent tendencies. The question is, does Katie have violent tendencies? And when that phone call that we're not going to play, it's out there, just search around. There's other creators that played it. Katie's right there. Katie's right there with him. Like they're at the hip. They're at the hip. They're in, both of them are right there. And they're in too deep. And it's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to me. Katie's alone with Sebastian. Katie, in my mind, is the prime suspect. Katie's the last person with Sebastian. She's been very secretive, very selective with her wording. Doesn't really speak to media at all. Wasn't out there searching. Wasn't out there vocaling. And you have Chris that will be defending her at all costs. Why? And that's why I'm mind-boggled here. Why? Why is Chris defending Katie so much? Where, to Chris, women are expendable. He's been in 4 prior marriages. Chaos with those marriages. Why is Chris going so much to bat for Katie? He says he's there to protect his wife. I think there's more. I think they're both in it way too deep. And they're stuck. And I said this. If it was an accidental overdose, and I kind of believe Seth that with that theory, that's a very plausible theory. Sebastian had a wild day on the 25th. Maybe he couldn't go to sleep. Maybe Katie gave him something. And then realized something bad happened. And then did that 3-hour phone call with Chris. And they're having a conversation. They're deciding how to proceed here. What to do. Oh my God. What'd I do, Chris? What'd I do? All right, this is what you need to do. Blah, 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 blah. But we still don't know the mystery. This is all speculation. It's all speculation. But instead of Katie just calling the police right away and saying, my son's not waking up, she would have got some sort of charge, but it wouldn't have been first-degree murder. Wouldn't have been second-degree murder. Would have been something very, she would still have to face the consequences. Maybe he wouldn't even have got charged at all. I don't know. But now you turn it into just getting rid of a body, lying to the police, sending everyone on wild goose chases, destroying the reputation of Chris Proudfoot's parent side of the family and everything, and dragging and drama and neighbors and everything like that. It caused complete madness. And now we're here. I've always said the cover-up nails people more than the actual crime itself. I don't even know if giving a kid accidental overdose is a crime. I don't know. It would be, but you wouldn't be spending the rest of your life in prison. But now, unless Katie does the right thing, I think there could still be a chance she could do the right thing. And the reason why I say that, because I don't know if you guys listened to the Adam Montgomery sentencing yesterday. Man, that was vicious. And I was actually going to play the Adam Montgomery sentencing here to remind Katie Proudfoot of the damage you would do if you do a harm to a child. And the victims speaking, the judge. Did you hear the judge or even the prosecutor at Adam Montgomery's sentencing yesterday? But the point I'm making is, despite all the badness of Adam Montgomery, the prosecutor gave him one last chance. One last chance. Tell us where the body is and we'll do the minimum. Just tell us where the body is. So Katie might have that one last chance. Doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you got to take that bite of that apple fast. And you missed that opportunity. She still has an opportunity to come clean. And she should. If Katie's listening, she should. Just tell authorities what you know. Because this is not going away. Sebastian's army is too strong. It's too deep. There's too many creators talking about this case. A lot of people are saying now Chris Proudfoot is like Don Wells 2.0. Don Wells, an evil side of Don Wells. Sometimes goes out on the media and portrays all this God and wholesome stuff and like that. But we've heard this, we've seen and heard the real Don Wells. And it seems like Chris Proudfoot has same characteristics as Don Wells. That rage, that cussing, that narcissism, that woe is me and it's everyone else's fault. Sebastian's still out there. And as long as Sebastian is out there, creators, journalists, we're going to keep talking about it. And I don't know if Chris and Katie Proudfoot want to live hunkered down in an RV for the rest of their lives with a cloud of suspicion over them. I think one of them needs to come clean. If Chris knows, Chris could take a lesser deal or a deal if Katie really did something, Chris maybe told her, helped her, whatever like that. The lesser of evil gets a good deal and can get a good deal. But to say, for a fact, Chris Proudfoot says for a fact, oh, Sebastian walked out the front door to the porch and vanished. How does he know that? And it makes no sense. None. No one is buying that. No one is buying that. Someone out of one of them has to come clean and should come clean. The quicker, the better. But the longer this goes out, you're going to miss that boat. You're going to miss the boat. Complete madness in this case, folks. And we're talking about it. Will there be more leaked phone calls coming out? I'd love to hear the phone calls. Again, I want them all on the internet. But they shouldn't work together. None of them should work together because it's wasting all our time. The bad blood, the mistrust, there's no reconciliation. It's never going to work. So what's the PR guy going to do with this? How's he going to correct all this? We are Sebastian's army. We are keeping Sebastian's name out there. I will keep you informed on any other latest developments, drama, what the internet says. We do this periodically. I think we have a pattern now where we come on in the morning, we have some coffee. I'm very passionate about this case because, I invested a lot, man. All cases around, there's a lot of bad things that happen. But, I actually went up there to try to help. Try to do my best to try to bring awareness. I didn't know I was going to get into this craziness. I thought Sebastian would have been found or a resolution within the first couple weeks, but man, and I still have faith and trust in law enforcement. They're observing all this, by the way, probably taking notes. Oh, by the way, there was a 6-year-old. I was ready to go up to Ohio and help with a search of a 6-year-old. Arias Flannery, Pike County. Did you hear about that case? She wandered off yesterday. She was found. But man, I could tell you though, man, that family's whoa. Yeah, she was found, but man, that family was. I don't know if you ever get the chance to take a deep dive into that family. Whoa, that's all I'm saying about that. But we are covering this case. Got some Micah Miller stuff coming out back home. Severe storms out there. If you're traveling along the East Coast, be careful. There's some tornadoes that came through Tallahassee. I went through Georgia yesterday, and I went through like two hours straight from like southern South Carolina through Georgia of just pouring down rain. There were so many cars like hydroplaning and parked along. It was just flooded. It was all over the place. It's very dangerous. But I made it home safe. And we're here covering these cases, bringing awareness. Thanks for watching. We'll talk soon. Keep the comments coming. What do you think about what I presented here? Does anyone think that just Chris is just, he's innocent and he's just reached his limits and he's just firing back at all the negativity out there on him? Does anyone think that? Like, anyone think that he's just, like, he has, he should be acting like this with what has been going on? There's some people that might think that, there's some people out there that think that Chris is not involved. There's some people who think that Katie's not involved. There's some people who think that Seth's involved. Some people think he's not involved, I'll be honest, man, Sebastian was failed all across the board by everybody. So, hopefully we'll get some answers very, very soon. I'm JLR Investigates. Have a great day, everyone. Be safe. We'll talk soon. Stay tuned.